Welcome everybody to another great episode of Real Life Matters. But today we're having it's RLM Wealth Tips with Daniel Chin. And today what's going to be happening on with Daniel Chin is actually episode number 10, but it's going to be phase 2. And we're going to be talking about how when you get your investment and you have your apartment units, like what's the best strategy and how to, what to do. Because a lot of people might get an investment with apartment rentals and a multi-unit and stuff like that, and they don't know what to do and how to go about it, how to make it a successful rental investment. So what happened is that we're going to have our very expert specialist in that matter, which is Daniel Chin. And he's going to be talking to a lot of our people who sent in the questions already. And he's going to be answering a couple of them about this. And this is part 2, because this is what he does every single day. I'm not saying every single minute of his life, but most of the time. But anyways, with no other further ado, I introduce to you Daniel P. Chin of Chin Property Investments.
Hi, DBoss. I'm delighted to be here. Thank you for having me.
I know. And you're out of Hamilton. Yeah, people, he's out of Hamilton, Ontario, for everybody that's watching out there that doesn't know where Hamilton is and stuff like that. Well, that's where he's out. But he doesn't say that he can't give you advice anywhere else in Ontario. He'll come to you depending on what the situation is. If he can handle it on the phone, he can. If he can't, well, we'll do something else. So anyways, we're going to be talking today. We're continuing this topic because it was so hot last time. There's a lot of questions that the people didn't get to ask and stuff like that about your investments in for your apartment rentals. So, Daniel's, your motto is to buy and hold, or wait and hold, or something like that, right?
Don't wait to buy real estate. Buy real estate and wait.
Yeah, buy real estate and wait. So he's encouraging people right now to buy real estate. Is that correct?
Yes, but do keep in mind it is a red hot market, DBoss, and you have to be prudent and patient if deciding to buy.
Wow. And you do not do, for people that didn't watch the one before, I encourage everybody to watch it. You don't do single family dwellings.
For an investment, it's not the ideal strategy. Multifamily is the best long-term for consistent, stable cash flow.
Oh, okay. And Lisa, she asks here, she goes, she wants to know, what's the largest rental property that you own?
Well, Lisa, the right question is which property produces the most cash flow? It's not necessarily the size. It's what's property produces the best returns on your investment. And there's one that comes to mind, and I can tell you it's one that's right next to the hospital. It's a beautiful duplex, very Victorian style, and the performance over the holding period of more than 5 years has been the best performance, and vacancies is near 0%, and the quality of the tenants, they're extremely happy with where it is they live. So that's the greatest performing investment. And given it was bought at around $250,000, today it's roughly about $750,000. So that's triple in value, and it is a good long-term hold investment. So not necessarily the biggest size of the property, but if you got the biggest returns on your investment, you'll be a very happy person.
All right. So we got a scenario here from Louis. Louis, he wants to know, he is getting a property, and it's going to be what is it? Hold on. He's getting a property, and it's going to have 8 units in it. And he wants to know, what kind of advice would you give him on how to renovate these 8 units?
Well, with 8 units, so anything greater than 5, when it comes to renovation, if the apartment is vacant and you can do the needed repairs or renovation work prior to when you get the opportunity to then subsequently release the apartment at a higher rent or to where the market rents are, then that's great. However, if it is currently tenanted, do I would say understand the rules when you have a tenanted apartment, and when you have to do any improvements, how do you do so? And you can find those information from the landlord tenant board when you have to issue the proper notice to that particular tenant prior to proceeding with any renovations, given approvals.
All right. Well, he's saying his place is vacant. So
Yep.
like what would he like he's going to go about? So he wants to know, like, would he buy new materials, or how would he go about wanting to renovate this stuff, this space?
Yep. So start with the whole from the actual value in the apartment, and how can you maximize the value. If you have a kitchen that's not upgraded for a very long time, and it is something to be considered to do it very cost effectively and within the timeline, because you can't spend 6 months doing renovation here, Louis. You gotta move very quickly and get it released very very soon. So it is to take all those things into consideration. If it is simply paint on the drywalls, or very cosmetic work, but not too much, in order to achieve the maximum rents. I can tell you by example, over December last year, 2020, there was an apartment became vacant, and within a 2-week timeline, the apartment spotlights was installed, and little things was done to clean up the apartment, and then it was released from 1350 to 1500. So that's about an 11% increase in rent, and very little money was put in. And of course, the current tenant, now it's fully tenanted, it's a very happy tenant that lives there. So you have to start with what is the value? Is there room for improvement, and is it needed? And of course, the two big questions are, Louis, does it make sense, and would it make money doing so?
Well, what he's saying is that he was wondering, like, okay, so where do you source like your materials, or should I, and what's the downfalls if I get some secondhand material, like some part of my unit will look like, if everything is upgraded good, and then here I go buy something else. So would you recommend like a secondhand something, or you just say go full in to do like the full renovation?
So Louis, appliances, I don't do secondhand. Materials you can get from some of the big home stores, Home Depot, Lowe's, and Rona. But do keep in mind, we're in the lockdown times, and curbside pickup could be very hectic if you're waiting 30 to 45 minutes every time just for a little, ordered item. So, be cognizant of those things. But materials, you should be consistent with the quality throughout the apartment, if you're doing any improvements. So get the high quality materials, and of course do the entire renovation. Hopefully it's not a big one, but do it very cost effectively. Appliances, I don't buy secondhand, but of course I do get it at wholesale prices. So it's really who are your suppliers. Otherwise, you can call the boss, and she will connect you to me, and I will point you in the right direction, Louis.
Okay. Well, he just wanted to know, like, like with regards to the renovations and stuff like that, because he said he had a couple of friends that says, oh, you know what, just put anything in, and the renters were rented. So I don't think I don't know if you'll go for that or not really, right?
Yep. So you have to really put yourself in the renter's shoes. If you were renting that apartment, Louis, would you want the landlord to just put in anything? You have 5 different colors, and then the lighting, one is white and yellow and then blue, and you want to be living in that place. You have to put yourself in the renter's shoes to always ensure that they're going to be extremely comfortable, happy, safe, and they will have the peace of mind living in that apartment, and ultimately that's gonna come back to you, for rent being paid on time and with no problems.
Okay,
So
so because some people make these makeshift apartments and they think that it's okay, oh, no, the floor's bouncing in the middle. I'm pretty sure you've seen.
So those are the ones that are not using at least a half or 3/4 inch subfloor plywood sheets.
Okay.
You have to do it properly, do it right, and you do it once and do it right, Louis. So don't just don't focus on the cents, focus on the dollars. And yes, some do think like that, but I can already say that those are the ones that doesn't treat it like a business. If you don't
Mm.
treat that, there are those that don't treat it like a business, just the individuals who think they could do anything they want to do, and it will rent. Of course it will rent to anybody if you put it at a lower price or etc. But then you wouldn't want to spend the next 8 months doing the landlord's tenant board, because that can cost you a lot more money to get yourself out of trouble.
Or and also a lot of people, they don't make the appropriate closet space. They figure you could just put your clothes and just throw up a railing, and then you can hang up your clothes. Hey, we've seen it all.
Yep. So those are the problem apartments or properties, the boss. And I always say good design is good business. So when you really focus on how the resident is going to be using the space, that ultimately will give them that convenience and peace of mind. And if they appreciate the having closets, like for example, last October I redesigned the basement apartment and I put in a walk-in closet, and I
Wow.
increased the bedroom size and the kitchen and dining room size, and the hallway size was so wide that you could even put a side office desk, and I added additional electrical outlets, as of course the electrician did so with permits approval. And I can tell you that apartment re-rented from 850 to 1100 for a basement apartment. So when you do high quality, Louis, you're gonna have less stress and less headaches.
Okay, so would you recommend installing security cameras?
It's on a case by case basis. With a property out of 30 apartments, only one property has surveillance cameras, and that was just at the point in time several years ago. One of my property, the neighbor had, let's just say, a bad, it was resold, right, and the new owner just didn't care, and the property manager was a good one, and put in, let's say, rough people died. And of course it was just something that had to be addressed at the point in time. But ever since, it's been peaceful, because in subsequent months it was resold again. And then the new owner is a wonderful family. They have a nice curb appeal, gardening on the outside, and the property is wonderful now. So, but surveillance cameras are still there. So it's on a case by case basis. You don't have to, but in some cases, I've seen some landlords have installed it because, like I always say, the area, it is what it is. The property, it is
Mhm.
what it is. So know what it is you're purchasing before you buy it.
Okay. So what about Louis also wants to, I'm telling you, well, he has a whole case because he bought this property. So he wants to know, should
I
I
can tell Luis has a lot of cases.
he just don't want to get, because he heard a lot of horror stories with some places, and he also had rented places too. So I guess he just wants to make sure. So would you recommend before you renovate the place that you get the renters?
So some have shown the the apartment available for rent, and it is still in pre-renovation. So in the process of being renovated. I
Mhm.
have only done that in past with referrals, because because and there's only like one or two things, promises, that I've made. For example, the apartment, it will be painted, or some little thing would be addressed. And but however, the apartment was still showable and it was decent, presentable. But if you are trying to, you put the apartment on the market and then you got open wall and you got dust all over the place, Louis, I know you don't want to lose money, and every day rent, it's not rented, it's money lost. But you got to have a plan and try to execute within the timeline, such that in about a week or two the apartment will be ready to to be able to rent. And of course it's showable and presentable, and it's very clean and nice, because I always like to have wow factor when a tenant comes in. And
Okay.
it's it's a standard that I have, and it's high standard, and they are absolutely wowed when they see the place. And I can tell you, it makes it much easier having the apartment done before you actually show it for rent. But there are some exceptions in some circumstances.
Okay. And would you recommend the apartment to be pet friendly?
Oh, absolutely, 100%. Because if it's not pet friendly, you're going to eliminate more than like 80% of the rental market, Louis.
Oh, okay. Because because some people. So, do you specify what kind of pets you can have in the agreement, or what do you do? Because sometimes you don't want to have somebody have lions and alligators and big stuff in there that you don't expect.
Yeah. So the proper wording, the boss would be pet friendly, but of course, you can simply ask for them to specify what type of pets, and you cannot be biased and you cannot be judgmental, but of course you can be considerate in which applicants, out of a bunch of strong applicants that you have to choose, you can have consideration and fairness to all.
Okay. So, in case, and so so what he wants to know something. Okay, because some things have happened. I'm sorry, I'm done.
I know Louis has a lot of things happening, but it's real questions, and a lot of people face these things in reality.
Yeah, that's why I feel it's important for him to stress it. Okay, well, if okay, your apartment's on the market, and suppose something happens in that particular your investment unit, and it's like a death that happened in there. Like, does that bring your property down, or what happens? Because sometimes something happens, and somebody dies there. So how do you approach that, and how do you make it marketable and stuff like that? I don't know if it's happened to you, but
so never happened to me. The properties I do is good properties in good location with less stress, less headache. So very high quality real estate. Now of course, being part of a landlord association in Hamilton, Ontario, some other landlords with apartment buildings that are very rough. For example, I've heard one landlord in his apartment building, every year there is one death that happens, and it there are extreme scenarios where there is blood, and of course you got to go through the proper procedures in reporting and attending to these issues with the police department, fire department, paramedics, etc. So to answer the question very simply, Louis, it is to, if it is, because you mentioned an 8-unit apartment building, if it is a superintendent, he or she has to be very competent, very knowledgeable when handling these matters and addressing it in a very like very quickly. So having being prepared for when the someone from the police department arrives, and how to pretty much communicate very effectively with those departments.
okay, because because a lot of people don't like to talk about that. So sometimes, and then to re-rent the apartment, like how do you how do you know, if somebody finds out after they rented it, like, oh my God, somebody died in here, you know?
So yeah, so it creates a stigma.
Mhm,
However, it's like the same with people buying properties that has ghosts or stigma or someone died, or a
mhm,
property that was previously a grow up. How do you sort of get around it in order to still achieve the outcome of selling the property or
mhm,
renting the apartment? So it pretty much is to approach it with the proper procedures, and
mhm,
to you can't wipe out the stigma. However, you can ensure that it has been addressed and the problems have been resolved. And of course, if the apartment did have any problems or issues, it has been addressed, and it is, an apartment that is in habitable condition, and it is safer to be re-rented. But of course, again, the boss and Louis, there's always that perception of the apartment, so you can't completely erase it, but you can do your best to ensure that they're going to have the same rental experience as the rest of the other residents in that same building, because it's
mhm.
under proper and professional management.
Okay, so you know, you mentioned the grow ups. Like that must be difficult to, you know, because I know of people that they say that if they have their apartments and stuff, and it's a grow up, there's a lot of cleanup that has to happen in there.
Absolutely. So I've never, knock on wood, if right, never faced any of those things, Louis. However, it goes back to one of your initial questions, which is, with finding or renting to tenants, and who are the tenants, essentially. So
Mhm.
it is proper pre-screening and really doing your due diligence to verifying and approving the tenants prior to occupancy.
Okay. Wow. Well, I hope that answered all of. Oh no, he had one more. With the renovations of your property, is that a tax write-off?
Yes, so given it is a business and it is a business expense where you're purchasing all these supplies, etc., it will be accounted and recorded as part of your expenses for the business, Louis. Yeah.
Wow. Well, you gave us a lot of information. So Louis,
I, well,
Louis, for a
hopefully,
consultation.
hopefully all of that helps, Louis. I'm starting to think, like, well, what did you really get yourself into, Poor Louis. But hopefully you'll be fine.
Okay. Well, you know, at least he answered all his questions that he had for his investment for that eight dwelling, and I hope that you know, I'm trying to wonder if he's going to extend it, but you know, who knows? Who knows what he'll do?
Just deal with the right people and you should be fine. And in the event you get yourself into further trouble, Louis, make sure you have a good paralegal or lawyer who can represent you for any legal proceedings.
Wow. Okay. All right. So we answered those questions for Louis. So now we're on a little bit of another RLM wealth tip. So we just combine it today. It's all right. And
Sure.
we want to ask, okay, when people are going to buy the actual property, so I have William asking, okay, what do I look for, or what kind of questions do I ask when I'm going to purchase, suppose like maybe a four family?
Yep. So some of the questions will be, if it is currently rented, how much, what are the current rents or rental agreements for the apartments, and of course, so those information you can retrieve from the real estate agents. But then again, the name of the game is not to believe anything the real estate agent tells you, or what the seller tells you if it is a private sale.
Wow.
You do your own homework. You pretty much, if you can, you walk up and down the streets of on that street address, and you talk to the people, and they'll tell you everything. And of course, you can have an idea of what are the average rents for 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom in on that street, and of course the conditions of these rental units. So you can find out a lot of information of the actual property. And even if you see in that apartment building someone's leaving the building, because at some point during the day they gotta go to work, they gotta go out, and they gotta get out of the building, right? Even if it's in the stay-at-home order, the boss,
Right.
they gotta get out and get some fresh air. And that's your opportunity. You approach them in a very friendly way, Louis, and you say you are interested in renting in the building, or you are interested in buying in this area, and you ask them, do you feel safe? Did anyone die recently, or what do you love about this area? And they'll tell you everything. And if you can't get them in the day, you come back in the evening, Louis, because that's the time when they come home from work, or if they gotta take out the garbage, right? Then you approach them in those times, and just in a very friendly way, they'll give you all of the information. So that's your due diligence, and there's nothing like enough due diligence.
Well, I'm just picturing you going in when these people are coming to garbage. Hey, hey, hey!
No, you just say, "Excuse me, my name is Daniel," and you were just looking at the area, and people in Hamilton are very friendly, and and dressed very well, and they're very friendly. Canadians are very friendly.
Oh,
Unless you're in an area where it's rough
it's
and
not
not
too
friendly.
friendly.
Right? But
So William's asking now. I'm telling you, these guys got some good ones today. They want to know why it's important for you to ask if the roof, the furnace, or the AC or the hot water heater has been last been replaced.
because if it was replaced like 25 years ago, then likely that will be an expense for when you close the deal. And in a year or two, you got to get a new furnace, a new water tank, etc., etc. But water tanks averages about 10 to 14 years. And then it
Okay.
replaces, every, 10 to 14 years. Furnaces, if it's a good one, 25 years. And the roof right now, they
That's a tricky one.
some can last long, 20 to 25 years, but make sure you use the higher quality materials and not the ones that are more like plastic, and then 5 years later it got to replace again. So but yes, all those things is to be taken into consideration, because you don't want to have to throw out those big item expenses post closing date, and when you receive the keys, and then you're like, oh my goodness, your roof is gone. Yep. So you have to look at all of those things, William. So you're prior to actually closing the deal. Yep.
So what do you recommend him getting? What when it comes to water, the hot water heaters and the water, do you recommend getting a large one, or just the regular size?
So a 40-gallon tank, you can anywhere from four people or less, I believe. And for a 50-gallon tank, you're talking about like six people in one household or more.
Mm-hmm.
So I always get, well, for me, it depends. If it is 2 apartments and it's only 2 people, then a 40-gallon tank is sufficient. In some cases, I've upgraded to a 50-gallon tank, such that to ensure it's a larger tank, so when the water is heated, you got one big batch and you don't run out of hot water if you're taking hot showers. And so it's on a case-by-case basis. And of course, these water tank rentals, you can always pose these questions to the water heater tank company, if it's Reliance or some other company.
Oh, okay. So Wendy was saying that she was asking, like, okay, so when you are do you do when you do, okay, when you're putting in the elements, the heater, the AC, do you recommend to use the energy friendly one or the other one? You know, the one that the
Yep.
furnace
Yep.
switches.
So all of these so it's well the first there gas furnaces are all energy it's energy efficient, the newer ones that are being
Mm-hmm.
manufactured. If it is like the old boiler system, etc.,
Mm-hmm.
that can still work, and because it has been maintained and serviced properly over its lifetime, that's okay. However, if it is mostly the newer type of furnaces, one stage, two stage, which is like very high efficiency, anything 94, 96% or higher in energy efficiency for these furnaces, your gas bill is going to be very low. So I in some cases I've gotten, I always get the two stage, right?
Okay.
So in the furnace it shoots high and low, and and there's that balance where it's right around the 96% energy efficiency. Not to get too technical on the show
Okay.
here, but energy efficiency is always great for so your bills can stay low and not high, like I've heard $700 hydro bill.
Whoa. And what's that for, like a 3 or 4 family or?
No, a $700 hydro bill is when the owner, something is not done properly or right,
Okay.
inside the property. There's no insulation or something is not done properly.
So
Yep.
they're losing the heat, and they're
Yep.
not keeping in, so it causes everybody has to open the window or whatever because it's not. So you have to. So those things are important to look in for your apartment rental investment. Correct?
Absolutely. You have to do things properly. Going back to the previous question, I believe from Louis,
Mm-hmm.
if you're insulating, have the proper R value insulation on the exterior walls or the ceiling or in the roof attic space, and do things properly in compliance with these building codes, etc. Insulation, the requirements, the Ontario Building Code requirements. And but don't just stick a styrofoam on a piece on the wall and say, okay, it's insulated, because if you gotta pay the utility bills, Louis, going back to Louis, poor Louis, if you gotta pay the utility bills, Louis, you ain't gonna have too much left over, Louis. So, but yes, to answer the question, William, yes, that is the energy efficiency is always the best. So use the energy efficient products, windows, doors with the ratings, energy efficient ratings, etc., including appliances, etc., etc.
Okay, so that's very critical. So keep your costs down for your investment. Make sure your place is insulated properly, and can carry it when it's when you turn up the heat, it's hot in there. When you have it is hot in the summer, it's cool in there enough. Because
Yep,
a lot of people don't, a lot of renters and a lot of landlords don't take that into consideration. Oh well.
Yep. And in addition to having things structured and set up properly, if you have the opportunity to have a separate hydrometer or gas meter for the electrical panel and furnace, for each self-contained apartment, then that's an ideal setup. And of course, the responsibility of these utility bills can be by the tenants. So if you have the opportunity, but every property is different.
Well, that's good. And the windows, what about the windows? The windows should be, those good windows that seal, because they
Yeah.
got some of those windows that don't even, all the air comes right through.
So here's the secret about the windows, DBoss and William, right? You can have the most expensive window product in the entire world, but if it got poor insulation, it doesn't mean it doesn't have its purpose. So make sure it's insulated properly. In addition, it is a quality window product and not some no-name product, by some flyer you saw stuck on your door. But make sure it's a reputable company. Yep, and then you got the warranty, and they got the E or the I think the E value on the window, right? Meaning, it's because there's a specific type of gas in between in the window, the glass panel that
Okay.
keeps the cool air inside in the summer, and of course the heat in the winter, and of course keeps the heat outside in the summer, and the cold outside in the winter. And of course sometimes they have a bit of a sound. They dampen the sound so you don't hear much outside in the road if you're on the main street. So find the right product, the quality product, and make sure you got proper insulation, William.
So what kind of insulation do you use? Do you use the pink one, or you use the foam?
The foam is sufficient, right? The spray foam, right? But make sure it is the right type. It comes in a bit of a different color, sometimes green, sometimes pink, but make sure it has that that R value, right? Or the insulation, and then you can put it around the borders of the window prior to putting the window casing, etc., to finish the window installation.
Also, they're gonna put that in there before they put the window.
Yep, make sure you stuff it and no gaps at all, so nothing goes in, nothing goes out, William. Yeah.
Because I see some of these houses now, I don't even think that some of them have it like that. Maybe they're doing it after. I don't know.
They
like they're in. Maybe they cut corners then.
Yep. So I always say cheap is expensive. Going back to Louis, cheap is expensive. And use the right products. If you run out of insulation, go buy more at the store, and then put adequate insulation around the windows such that you do it once and you don't gotta do it again.
So anyways, so what you're basically saying is that buy the material right the first time. Don't try to cut corners where you got to come back 2 and 3 times.
Yep, and measure 20 times, Louis, and cut once.
Okay. Well, I'm telling you, no, but but a lot of people don't know that. They try to cut corners and then they got to come back and retile because they didn't do the floor tiling right in the first place. So is your tiles heated in your apartment rentals, or no? They're just regular.
No, heated tiles is more for, like, say, the luxury home. You don't need it really in rentals unless it is a really high-end rental in the High Park or in Forest Hill in Toronto, or in the what's that expensive place in the in Toronto? Yep, on that side. So you don't have to, but I use quality porcelain tiles, right? That the 1 feet by 2 feet. And nice design, so you can see those pictures on the Chin Property website. Yep, so use the quality products.
And are you using marble on your countertops and in your rentals, or are you using just the regular standard
Yep, so in the Hamilton market, I use the laminate countertop. Right. So, yep. But in higher quality rentals, if it was like in Toronto in the prime area, I would use more like quartz or granite. But for Hamilton, right, the laminate, it is sufficient, and maybe I think it's called it's like imitation granite, but again, they don't really get really damaged too much, so it is sufficient in this rental market, because the apartments that I offer, it's in the mid range. So average price about $1,500 a month, whereas if it's a more higher end product, it'll be more like $2,000 a month, and on the low end, that's about $1,000 or less a month. So I'm right in the middle, but I offer a high quality product and still at an affordable price for tenants who in that like working professionals, essentially.
Oh, okay. So that so do you recommend putting a dishwasher inside these units, or?
Yep, the dishwasher, it's a luxury. I have been
Wow.
doing dishwashers, double kitchen sinks. I really listen to the tenants, their needs, and that's how I come up with my renovation, the design and ideas. And I because they are the paying customers. If they love the double sink, I'm gonna put it in. If they love stainless steel appliances, I'll put it in. And
Mhm.
you can see some of the pictures on the Chin Properties Facebook, or or Chin Properties Instagram, where standard is MDF kitchen cabinets, stainless steel appliances, stainless steel backsplash, and it's yes, gray color
The
walls, but I
backsplashes
use.
is important also, those backsplashes.
Yep, I've used stainless steel backsplash, right? So it complements the
Oh,
stainless steel appliances, right? Most people have overused the white, classic white kitchen with white subway style tiles, and
wow.
I try to differentiate. And of course, like in recent apartment renovations, I would do an accent wall to differentiate from other apartments, because you have to find ways to differentiate, not only, with, what's in the apartment, but with everything.
Okay, so that's pretty good. You know, they have the single sink because most people need the two sinks. And what about the
Yeah.
bathroom? One sink? I guess it's one sink still.
Yep, one sink is sufficient, but having that sufficient, vanity,
Shelter.
like the drawers, the space, and I find is it's valuable for the resident. Yep.
So would you recommend in some units just having a shower only, or a shower and tub?
Shower and tub, because then it's there's nothing better than coming home and having a relaxing what do you call it, soak in the
Bath.
tub, right? And and some, that is the value, what the customers are paying for, and they very much appreciate it. And I try to offer it in every single apartment that I can. And if I am renovating from scratch, absolutely
So will
100%,
you get like
I'll
a
have a
square
bathroom.
tub in there, or you just get like the regular tub? Because
Nope,
that ain't
30 by
that.
60, 30
Oh,
by 60 inch tub. Yep. So
that's
acrylic,
good for the
about
12 people.
300 something bucks for those acrylic tub, and it's comfortable, and oh, it's it's very relaxing. Yeah, anything where they can have that, they could relax, they can be happy, and they can absolutely love their apartment. You put it in, but don't go all crazy putting jacuzzi and etc. in the apartment. Right?
I
Okay,
want
Louis,
that
don't put.
toilet.
I keep saying Louis, just after the show, I'll have Louis messaging me and saying, "Oh, Mr. Chen, all over my social media."
Oh god. No, but the next thing too. And what about the toilet? The height of the toilet.
Standard 16-inch above the ground. That's fine, and but however, the brand, I always use American Standard. I don't use
Yeah.
anything less, right? Less than $100, or those $50 toilet. Some you can get the used ones,
$50 top.
but yeah, American Standard, oh, they last so long, and like I have no problems. They last
And
much
that's
longer.
the regular flush as opposed to that power
Yeah,
flush.
yep. If it is regular flush or two flush, it's okay.
Mhm.
But American Standard, they're good quality and they last a very long time. Yep.
Okay. Well, those things are important, when you're doing your rentals, because some of these people get these little small toilets, you can't even get down to the toilet.
Yep. You have to think of
Use like
any anything with convenience, because if because you have to really think about, put, as mentioned, put yourself in the renter's shoes. If they are 6'5" or 7 feet, or most is average, five and a half, and the type of toilet, with the elevation above the ground, if it is like a kid-sized toilet, Louis, then that's not good. But if it is for the average person who is early 20s to 30s 40s, then standard size, and put in the right size toilet. So all these things I think about beforehand, when designing or renovating, provided I have the opportunity, if it's a vacant apartment, and to really give that peace of mind and convenience. That is the value. I always focus on value and safety, doing things properly, always.
All right, and then Mary had the last question. She wanted to know: does when you're going into a multi-family dwelling, does your property tax increase?
It depends on the area and the tax assessment by the Municipal Property Assessment Corporation, which is MPAC. And so it's you tend to have higher property taxes for commercial properties. So in the event that if it is a mixed use where there's commercial retail store on the first level, and then on the second level you have residential apartments, that property, I can tell you, would be high in property taxes, double if not triple,
Wow.
compared to if it is just a residential property and zoned as residential.
Mm-hmm.
But for multifamily, it depends on the area. But the bottom line, Mary, what I will say is property taxes is going up. In Hamilton, it did went up about 2, 3, or 4% this year. So we have to adjust inflation, and with the with the real estate market being red hot, and prices are soaring above the sky, you will likely see your property taxes would be going up if it haven't already.
Wow. And what about Mary also wants to know about the garbage units? That's very like the recycling bins. How do you assess like how much maybe usage everybody's going to use?
Yep. So if it is a large apartment building, right, that's where you got to deal with the waste management companies. If it is multifamily properties, which is less than 5 units, right, the city does provide garbage tags. Well, in the city of Hamilton, if it is anything excess of two garbage bags, or like the recyclables, and then you can use the garbage tags, which is permissible, such that on garbage day, your garbage is taken away. And of course, putting it in the black garbage bags and not anything that is white or blue or green, using the black garbage bags. So the long story short, Mary, you look on the city, in the given city you're in, on the website, online, on waste collection, and of course garbage collection days, to find out those information. Yeah, that's what I would say.
Wow, I'm telling you, we got through two segments, but that's okay, Daniel. So if everybody, he did mention his website, but you can mention it again. So if people want to reach out to Daniel, he's very familiar. He's an expert on this topic, and there was some real good things today, I tell you.
Chinproperties.com, or you can watch RLM well tips on the boss, real life matters, and you'll get some good tips every week, if not every few weeks or months.
Yeah, and well, we got some good ones today, so people need to insulate your windows. But anyways, I do want to thank Daniel from coming today and explain, he has no idea what these people are going to ask him prior to this. So he's answering the questions right on the mark and right on the cuff. So thank you, Daniel. Follow me. You guys, support us, shared with Daniel. If you have anything, reach out to him. He's there. If he'll get back to you with very, shortly. If he can't, he will tell you that he'll call you back at a certain time, and he will stick to the timing. So
you're very welcome, the boss. I'm delighted, and let's do it again sometime.
Yeah, we will. We still got some stuff that I didn't even touch yet. So people, just be patient with us, okay? All right. So I do want to thank everybody for tuning in to Real Life Matters today and RLM Wealth Tips with Daniel Chin. And stay tuned. He will have more stuff. It's the summer coming in now. Where we are here. And where everybody else is coming in. So, a lot of people are going to be looking around trying to find what kind of properties, what to do with their properties, how to get. So if you haven't seen any of the past episodes of the RLM Wealth Tips, there's a lot of information in there. You don't have to go search. Yes, you can go to the websites, but, Daniel really gave you to them. He just gave it to you right here on a silver platter.
Well, I think we helped Louis, today. And Louis, I really hope you get through with that 8-unit apartment building, and and then you're making a lot of money, Louis. But it's all
you need to call you to come in for the consultation. Manage the property.
But I think after this episode, Louis is more confident.
Yes. All right. So everybody, thanks for tuning in. So bye for now.